He's back. Hi, Mr. Carson again. Now, part of your science activity will probably involve something a little bit risky. Now, in your classes, we teach you how to manage these risks. In other words, we teach you how to make them smaller. So this is your chance to tell the reader what you understand about risks and risk management. Probably the next step is to identify your risks. I've put some here you can read, like glassware. Obviously, glass, if it breaks, is a danger, but normal glassware is normally not too much of a risk, unless, of course, you are heating it. Chemicals are risky. If we breathe them in, they can be dangerous. If we ingest them or drink them or take them in, they can be poisonous. If we get them on our hands, they can be irritants. So you should be able to think about these things as we go through. If you're using a Bunsen, what precautions should you take? If we're using electricity, what should we do? What common sense things are there? And of course, we should relate them to how we use these equipment, and that means we should link them to our method. Now, as with all things, we should always be specific. Only name the equipment, chemicals, or other things you use, and be specific about what they are. If you are using something that is going to irritate your skin, or something you have to be careful with breathing, tell me, name the chemical. I always tell you that I don't expect you to know everything. But I also mention the fact that I would expect you to know where to find out about them. Now, during our science classes, we've talked about MSDS and CLEEPS and hazard cards. If you think about right at the start of the year, when you were first introduced to the laboratory, we actually found out where these were. Now, I would expect you to be able to find them and use them. Now, these give us some indication and specifics about what we need to do and what we need to find out and how best to minimise the risks, especially with chemicals. Okay, the only thing now to do is to tell the reader about this. So what should I do in my report? Well, my suggestion is to use a table. And in the table, you outline 3 or 4 of the risks. And don't forget to be specific and actually identify particular chemicals. For example, if you are using an acid, tell me which acid you are using. Some acids are more dangerous than others, and we have to adopt certain risk management strategies for them that we might not for less dangerous acids. Then I'd suggest you tell me why it's a risk. In other words, if it gets in my eyes, it'll cause me to go blind. Or if it gets on my skin, it will cause my skin to blister. It will burn my skin. Or I shouldn't breathe it in because it will do certain things. Right? These risks, you're telling me what the risk is, and then you're telling me why it's a risk. And lastly, you should be able to tell me how you are going to lessen the effect of the risk or manage the risk. Now, with each of these, I would only expect a name in the risk column, a sentence or maybe 2 in the why it's a risk column, and maybe 1 or 2 sentences in the how I'm going to manage or minimise it column. If you do this, you are telling the reader everything they need to know.